So Ashwapati was facing a problem. He stood there on a pedestal of prayer, absolutely calm, with great expectation that he would get some response from the Divine Mother, but there was none. And he was wondering what could have been the cause of her not responding to his prayer. In other words, if the prayer is coming from a defective source, so to say, from a defective aspirant, somebody who is not fully ready, then that prayer may not be granted. You may go to the mother and pray, give me this, give me that, she may not grant it. If the required quality is necessary or her force to work, if it is absent, then she will not grant the prayer at all, you see. That is the condition in which Ashwapati is standing. In fact, it's a very great sarcastic statement. Why my prayer is not granted? We question God or whatever you want to call him. But the greater wisdom is that we have not really prepared ourselves fully to hold the power of the boon that will be coming to us. We are not prepared fully. And if it is not fully prepared, if we are not fully prepared and it is going to be granted, it may lead to undesirable consequences. So there is a kind of a wisdom that the prayer is not granted. Yeah. So the obligation is on us. The obligation is on us. Why the prayer is not granted? So Ashwapati sets himself in the task of finding out what could be the cause in him that is preventing the answer from the Supreme Mother of whom she will be called. Why is she not answering? And then every nook and corner of his being he explores. Is it here? Is it here? Is it here? Something lacking, something resisting, something opposing, something hostile, which is not allowing it to come. In other words, not granting the boon prayer is itself a kind of a help to you. Go and search, go and do your homework. Why it is not granting? Well, last time we saw in the case of Sri Aurobindo about his accident briefly in 1938, November 1938. On the morning of the Darshan day itself, the accident took place. There was, of course, the hostile attack coming on the mother, and Sri Aurobindo wanted to protect her, and in the process he forgot to take care of himself. He forgot to take care of himself. Forgot in the sense that he didn't realize that they would come and attack him, that they would dare attack him. Such kind of a confidence he had that they would not dare and attack him. Now, if you see in the context of the developments which were taking place about that time, 1936, 38, the supermind was entering into his physical. 8 August 1938, his famous sonnet, The Light. 8 August 1938.
58.
Yeah, 38. Yeah. The light was covering in him, in his brain, in his heart, in his all the parts of the physical, his spirit coming. It was covered. But it was not staying on. It would come and go, it would come and go, it would come and go. Why? Again the question. And it is in that context you see again, while here in the case of Ashtapadi, the response is not coming. Why? It means that some kind of yogic sadhana had still to be done in the physical. After all, he had taken the birth in the inconscient world. He had accepted the inconscient birth. He had identified himself completely with the inconscience of his creation, and anything that might be still present in him of that inconscience would resist the coming of the greater power, of the higher power, of the transforming power, and therefore it can stop his further progress actually. So that was what was happening in the case of Ashtapadi, it happened in the case of Shriyabantu. The accident was a direct result of his taking birth in the inconscience. He forgot who is what. He has identified himself totally with the ignorance of this world, identified with totally, and suddenly something broke out, and then things started happening after that, you see. So the accident itself was in a way a step towards a greater, mightier progress. Something which was lying there in him had got to be removed. How does one know that? How does one identify that? You take things otherwise in a very routine manner, goes on in a laissez-faire way, so to say, and you take for granted that things will happen. But there are elements and elements. Or the inconscious too is infinite. That is the light we have here. Inconscience is also infinite. The more you plumb, more you sound, is a depth, the more it comes out and comes out and comes out. So every bit of it has to be tackled and answered, you see. So that was the state in which Ashtapadi was, and when he realized that had to be removed, then really things started moving forward. I would say the same thing exactly in the case of Shriyabantu. 1938 accident, exactly the same thing. And after the accident, really the sadhana took a very, very different kind of a turn. In the way of speaking, it started going extremely fast. Extremely fast. The supermind was coming and going. He had to stabilize it. And as a result of that, with that kind of yogic sadhana which he had put, yogic tapasya which he had done for that, those last 12 years of Shriyabantu after the accident are of a totally different kind than the previous of his life. Divya Jivana, golden light, divine light is what is really being there in him after that, you see. Divine life itself is there. And of course, as a part of that moment, what had happened was the physical mind started opening to come into light and force. It was able to receive, stabilize, and remain in it. And that remained always with him after that. It never gone. Not only that, he speaks in one of his writings that the relation between overmind and supermind, overmind is the top of the lower hemisphere, supermind is coming from above, from the upper hemisphere. Between these two, there is a kind of blankness. There is no knowledge about the things which are present there. How how supermind becomes overmind, how overmind can become supermind, those passages, those details, they are not known. So it is those details which are kind of getting worked out in that process. The transition between overmind and supermind, as far as the physical immortality is concerned, they were getting either attended and whatever necessary steps are required were getting created for that purpose. So I will say in a way, the mind of light is the lowest stage of the supermind into the physical mind of light in hierarchy of plane. So it is in a way even below the mental physical. See, and what was really happening was at that time then was, even though as you said that the region between our mind and supermind, that is unexplored, unknown, what is present, how to work out, those details are not. You say the gods of the mind world are here, all the devas are here, supramental, transcendent, etc. are there, but the transition, the connection, the links, they are not known, they are not explored, they are kind of blank in terms of their operating possibilities. So, one of the things which Rabindranath had done as a yogi at that point of time was to create a new plane between these two, between overmind and supermind, the plane of mind of light. Plane of mind of light. And that becomes a kind of a transition step from this to that. So if this transformation has to take place, then it is there that has happened. So in that sense, the accident was useful, or we can say that a divine diplomat can use even such a fall for a greater purpose of his, and that is exactly what he did. So in the case of Ashwapati also we are approaching now more in the same stage. He sees that the Divine Mother is not responding. What's the problem with her? Why is she not going forward? The problem is not with her, the problem is with you, basically. And therefore he is attending to himself. Life in his members lay down vast and mute, because there was no response, vast and mute. See, he is using periodically, mute, naked, unwalled, unterrified with both immense regard of immortality. Life was able to stand the look of immortality. It needs a tremendous capacity that the look of immortality can be borne by life. Life has prepared itself to hold the look of immortality. The last moment died, and all at once grew still. She moved, movement, still, everything has become calm. A way that was the unseen transcendence hand, when everything has become so still, the unseen is putting his hand on him and he is feeling the weight of the hand, the weight that was the unseen transcendence hand laid on his limbs. You see, he says limb, not on his head, not here and there, on the physical. The spirit's measureless sea, infinity swallowing into shoreless trance. So, see now what has happened? That muteness, the stillness, that motionlessness, no movement at all, they have now become so powerful, they have become the trance. There is a kind of a graduality, mute, immense regard of immortality. Moment died, absolutely calm. All grew still and swallowed him into shoreless trance. So that is new realization in him. Everything has become so calm, so in that sense, in that way, he is not really worried now. Voice is not responding. That question doesn't arise now. They were so still. In verse, it is only when there is such a trance that she might respond. She won't respond, otherwise only when there is such a trance she might respond. As one, so now once we got them, he is now moving forward. As one whose sexes sail towards mystery shores. See, here you have got shoreless trance and you have got mystery shores. See, almost immediately following that, mystery shores. In a trance which is limitless, which is boundless, boundless, he is now moving to mystery. Now it is not mysterious shores. It is mystery. The whole thing has become a kind of mystery. It is not mysterious shores. It is mystery shores. They have become a mystery. How do you translate mystery?
You didn't translate like this.
No.
You translate, I think it's not correct. In Peter, the shore of the mystery.
Oh no. No.
Usually you go like this and
Mystery shore. See, you have created a new adjective, mystery. He is not saying mysterious.
no.
He is not showing shores of mystery. The whole situation has made them mysterious. They have become therefore mystery. Driven to yield ocean with the breath of God. Well, if we have to cross the huge oceans, such huge oceans, then they can be crossed only with the breath of God, not by any other wind. It has to be the breath of God itself to push you forward on the ocean, you see. Huge oceans. He says again, oceans, plural, shores, plural, shore after shore, ocean after ocean. He is driven, he is pushed forward by the breath of God. His sail, his boat, or whatever you call it, is moving from ocean to ocean. The fathomless below, the unknown around, his soul abandoned the blind, star-filled space. Now, from the ocean, the image is to space. Here, these two lines is the image of a voyager sail. Here is a movement in the space, in the sky. The fathomless below, see, he says fathomless below the night, in the night also. The unknown around, his soul abandoned, the blind, star-filled, blind because it is night, star-filled. He left them behind as he moved forward, afar from all that made and measured the world, all that made and measured the world. You have got dimensions, you have got sizes, length, breadth, width, whatever you want to call them, that is the measured world. Measure comes by mind. Mind is a measurer. Mind is a measurer. So all the extensions are measured by mind. So apart from all that makes measured world, apart, far beyond the reach of mind, where mind is making compartments, divisions, measures. Apart from all that made measured world, Plunging to hidden eternity, it withdrew back from mind. See, he makes it clear. Back from mind's foaming surface divine, voiceless within us in omniscient sleep. Now, plunging to hidden eternity, it withdrew. What is that it? His soul. His soul. His soul abandoned the blind star field, it withdrew. It left behind the words which are measured by mind. Plunging into hidden eternity, it withdrew back from mind's foaming surface to this vast. He is making it clearer. Voices within us. Now those vast are voiceless within us, but those hearts are in omniscient sleep, voiceless within us. Vast of every kind, of truth, beauty, love, joy, everything. Those vast. Vast is a plural, you see. Back from mind's foaming surface to divine, voiceless within us in omniscience. Within us, they are there, but we are not aware of. They are asleep. Omniscient sleep. They know everything, but they are asleep. Now, omniscient sleep is the Prajna consciousness. Prajna consciousness. In the Upanishad, they got 4 stages: Jagrata, Swapna, Prajna, and Turiya. Jagrata, that is waking consciousness, as we are. Surface consciousness. Swapna, that is deep within. Swapna. You see not on the surface but inward. Swapna. Then comes Turiya. Then comes Prajna. Sleep. Sushupti. Sleep. Where you have true knowledge. And beyond that is the Turiya, the transcendental consciousness, you see.
Swapna, Sushupti, Prajna.
Jagrata, Swapna, Sushupti or Prajna. And then Turiya. So they are there actually. In fact, if you remember, in Savitri Yoga, when she starts her yoga, the very first thing that happened to her, a dream disclosed to her the cosmic consciousness. A dream disclosed to her. She has entered directly from Jagrata into Swapna. Book 7, Canto 2.
You are incredible. You can remember every page.
Well, 117.1. 117.1. 117.1. A dream disclosed to her the cosmic past. That is how Savitri Yoga began. She was in the Jagrata, the outward waking consciousness, worrying, what is going to happen to me tomorrow? My husband will die. And she has no clue at all. He is helpless. She is waiting for some help, but help is not coming. So she is in a puzzled state. And then a voice from above touches her brows and enters into her. And with that, she is told, remember why you have come. Savitri, you remember why you have come here. For what purpose you have come. Awake to yourself. Find out your soul. Then kind of a prescription is given to her. Do this. And Savitri sets straightaway on that path. And the first thing which she does is, she experiences a dream disclosed to her the cosmic past. The entire evolutionary past now is standing in front of her. Starting from the creation out of the void till this particular stage, the whole panorama is now in front of her. She is serving the entire thing. Not only that, she also sees the future. Yes, this is what happened. The past has come to this point, it is now here, it has to move forward. What is going to happen tomorrow, that is also disclosed to her. The dream, he said. And Savitri says on that. So it is that which is the next stage, second stage. After Jagrata comes Swapna, there is dream disclosed to her, the cosmic power. Beyond that is Prajna, the omniscient sleep, Sushupti. Sushupti, the word Sushupti and sleep are the same. And beyond that, beyond all this, is the Turiya, the pure transcendental knowledge, consciousness. Voice is written in omniscient sleep about the imperfect reach of word and thought. Well, imperfect reach of word and thought, that is what we are, you see. Our language, our expression, our mind-measured things, they are imperfect. So about the imperfect reach of word and thought, beyond the sight, the last support of form, lost in deep tracks of superconscious light, lost in deep tracks of superconscious light, supramental light itself, are washing in blank, featureless nothingness, soul in the trackless, incommensurable, or past not self and selflessness, transgressing the dream shores of conscious mind, he reached at last his sempiternal base. That is the long voyage he is carrying on. In few lines he has described the entire travel of Ashwapati, and he is coming, he is reaching the sempiternal base. Now there are a few things here about the imperfect reach and word and thought. Well, we can understand the reach of word and thought because we already said earlier, measure, you see. Beyond the sight, the last support of form. So the form is defined by sight. It is the sight in a sense which is supporting the form. Sight which is support. Beyond the sight, the last support of form. In other words, how do you know the formless? How do you see the formless? This sight is not sufficient for that. You just know it yourself. The form has a beauty, the formless also has a beauty. How do you see the beauty of the formless? Not by this sight. Not by this sight. Because this sight is in the context of word and thought. This sight in the context of word. Actually, all the 5 sense organs of ours, sight, hearing, taste, smell, touch, 5 organs, they are essentially the senses of mind. They are essentially the senses of mind. So sight is a part of the mind, and therefore it comes in the category of word and thought. But it is that which supports the form. Music, control, measure. Yes, you see? Lost in deep tracks of superconscious light, etc. Now, there is a big problem over this line. Beyond the sight, the last support of form. In the revised edition, they have something different. In the revised edition, what we have is beyond the sight that seeks support of form. That seeks support of form. Beyond the sight, see here you have beyond the sight, comma, the last support of form, means sight is the support of form. It's a kind of a clarification. Right. But here beyond the sight that seeks the support of form. It is a form which is supporting the sight. In this case it is the sight which is recognizing the form. In the realization they got beyond the sight that seeks support of form. Now there is a very peculiar kind of a justification given by them, by these people. Peculiar, not uncommon with the evaluation. I will say, not unusual. The justification is like this, let me read it. Penultimate manuscript in Sri Aurobindo's own handwriting. Last but one manuscript. What we have here is, beyond the sight that seeks support of form. In Sri Aurobindo's handwriting, it is beyond the sight that seeks support of form. It is to this that they are reverting. Now, but in the last but one, in the final manuscript, we have got beyond the sight that seeks support from form. Support of form from form. That is also again in Sri Aurobindo's handwriting. Support from form. Sight that seeks support from form. Then revive the dictation. This line, revive the dictation, means Nirodharan's handwriting. Beyond the sight, revised by dictation, beyond the sight, the last support of form. By dictation, you have made it last support of form. When the manuscript was revised, which had accidentally placed that, might have prompted Sri Aurobindo to find an adjective to modify support. A comma after sight was printed in 1947. When the fascicles came out, when this canto were published in the ashram journals, then all the posts used to go to Sri Aurobindo. So the line was, in those manuscripts, this was the line without the comma. Beyond the sight, the last support of form, that comma was inserted in 1947. Obviously that comma cannot come without Sri Aurobindo dictating it. Nobody is going to put it by himself. Impossible. So in other words, although Sri Aurobindo had written in the beginning the seek support of form, his final authoritative version of the line is beyond the sight, the last support of form. He is put a seal on it by dictating a comma there. He is fully attentive to it, what is very bad. So I would say that it is an unfortunate revision that they are going back to the first manuscript. In the manuscript itself they have made changes from form, of form, you see, they are seeing that thing also. Beyond the sight, the last support of form. And see a beautiful line, so powerful occurs in this manner, in this form. Beyond the sight, the last support of form is occultly packed, fully charmed, lost in deep tracts of superconscient light, or voyaging in blank, featureless nothingness. So the trackless, incommensurable, are past not self and selflessness. Not self, the total unknowable, you can't call it self, not self, nothing. Past not self and selflessness, transgressing the dream shore, again beyond all the Swapna oceans of conscious mind, he reached at last his sempiternal base. His voyage is coming now to his permanent base. On sorrowless heights, no ringing cry disturbs. He's standing on that height. No ringing cry disturbs. It is such calm, such trance vessel, pure and untouched above the mortal plane is spread the spirit's hushed immobile air.
Can I ask you, how do you explain dream shores? Is it the shore who are dreamers or the shore of the dream?
Yeah, it's a compound.
Yeah.
No, these are not the shores of the dream.
Not of the dream.
No,
They are dreamers.
yeah. They're not the shores of dream, no. Means, actually there is always a problem with the compound words.
Yeah, but
With the compound.
the compound work is different.
Yeah. Well, actually, you can read it also in this particular case, transgressing the dream shore without hyphen.
Yeah.
Without hyphen, also. So, of conscious mind. See, because it is mind, therefore dream shores. On sorrowless eyes, you see, he is going up, he is traveling wide also. Shores, horizontal motion, eyes, vertical motion. On sorrowless eyes, no winging cry disturbs, pure and untouched above the mortal plane is spread the spirit's hushed immobile air. There no beginning is, and there no end. There are no boundaries at all. Neither beginning nor end. There is the stable force of all that moves, the force which makes things move, that force itself is stable, and it is there present. There is the stable force of all that move. There the ironic laborer is at rest. Ironic laborer, he has been carrying on this task, this work, age after age, eon after eon. Yeah, the ionic laborer is at rest. Who is the ionic laborer? He. Here is at last. Ashwapati, of course. Yet he of course stands for it. There the ionic laborer is at rest. He is at peace.
It's not the one who creates the.
So now everything he is passing through his own, there is no activity, there is only calm, there is only peace, there is only tranquility, there is beyond the sight, beyond all these formations, he is going there. There turns no creation in the void. So this is what happens. You find a toy and it starts moving. It's not like that, it's not kid. Yeah. No giant mechanism watched by a soul. There creates no fate-turned huge machinery. It is not driven by fate at all. It is not necessity, it is not fate, it is not anarchy, whatever you call it. It is not driven by that. It is by itself. There creates no fate-turned huge machinery. The entire cosmic manifestation, even manifestation beyond the cosmos, is there. The marriage of evil with good within one breast. So they are there. In what there is neither evil nor good. The clash of strife in the very clasp of love. The dangerous pain of life experiment in the values of inconsequence and chance. So this is the whole picture of inconsequence and chance. The peril of mind's gamble, throwing away lives as stakes in a wager of indifferent gods. So our life is a wager in indifferent, they are careless, they don't bother with the universe, whether we suffer or not, you see. As stakes in a wager of indifferent gods, and the shifting lights and shadows of the idea to keep on changing constantly. Falling upon the surface consciousness and in the dream of a mute witness soul, creating the error of a half-seen world, where knowledge is seeking ignorance. Well, that is the character of surface consciousness, creating the error of a half-seen world, where knowledge is seeking ignorance. Life steps a stumbling series without soul. Its aspect of fortuitous design is equal measure of the true and fallen. In that immobile and immutable realm, find no access, no cause, no right to live. There only reigns the space, motionless power. So all these dualities, conflicts, etc., they're totally absent there. There only reigns the spirit's motionless power, poised in itself to still eternity. That power is poised in still eternity, calm eternity, and is omniscient and omnipotent peace. That power is still eternity and is of eternity, omniscient and omnipotent peace. Thought clashes not with thought, and truth with truth. See what happens? The clash of truth with truth. All theories are true. Capitalism is as good as communism, or whatever to call it, you see. They are all true, but they are all partial truth. Means truth with truth. This is what happens in the overmind world. Each is a truth, but one truth does not recognize the other truth. It is kind of an exclusive truth, its own right. It sticks on to itself. That is what happens in the case of the gods of our mind, gods and goddesses. Shiva is Shiva, that's all. I don't recognize Vishnu. I don't recognize this, I don't recognize this. Like that. There is no war of right with rival right. There are no stumbling and half-seeing lives, passing from chance to unexpected chance. No suffering of hearts compelled to beat in bodies of the inert inconscience made. So well, he is now in that state of trance, you see, beyond all these things, you see. And the immune, occult, unsinking fire, and the immune, occult, unsinking fire. Immune, it is not touched by all these outside things. The guardians of eternity keep its law. The guardians of eternity are armed with this fire. Guardians of eternity are with this fire. And with the immune, occult, unsinking fire, the guardians of eternity keep its law. Forever fixed upon to giant to be in her magnificent and boundless home. There, nature on her dumb spiritual couch, immutably transcendent, knows her source, that is the Supreme Prakriti. She knows where from she is coming. And to the stir of multitudinous world ascends and moves in a perpetual form, all causing, all sustaining and aloof. The witness looks from his unshaken poise, and eye immense regarding all things done. So he is talking of now nature. He is talking of the witness, Sakshi, witness, Sakshi Purusha. Purusha and Prakriti. Apart, at peace above creation stir, at peace above creation stir, immersed in the eternal attitudes, he ever defended in his soulless self, companion only with the all-seeing one. He is the only companion for him now, the Supreme, who sees everything. Companion only, the all-seeing one. A mind too mighty to be bound by thought. So, that is what happens in our case. Our mind is bound by thought. But there is a much larger, bigger, proper mind which is not bound, confined by thought. A life too boundless for the play in space. A soul without borders, unconvinced of time. There are no borders at all of time. Past, present, future, nothing kind. He felt the extension of the world's long pain. So he has found the source now where there can be the disappearance of pain. That can be only with a mind which is not bound by thought, by a life which is boundless in spirit, a soul without borders and convinced of time. A soul. Only when that is there, then he sees the possibility of the world pain disappearing. He became then bound soul that never dies, a joy in the sessions of infinity. So he is now the companion of infinity, so we see. Sessions, meetings, whatever I got to see. On the cosmic murmur, primal loneliness fell. So what happens now here in the cosmic world? Only loneliness. We are enjoying the sessions of infinity. And with the contact with time-bound things. So no more connection at all with things born in time. Empty grew nature's wide community. All things were brought back to their formless seed. So everything has now gone back to the bija avastha, seed, bija. Therefrom everything germinates, everything comes out. The world was silent for a cyclic hour. Now I don't understand what this exactly is, cyclic hour. No, it keeps on repeating. Universe, actually, this is a repetitive cycle. The kind of periodic thing which keeps on happening. Yuga after yuga. The cycles of yugas, whole yugas, they repeat again, they repeat. So, all the cyclic movements of yugas, see, there was Satya Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Kali Yuga, all these 4 yugas are there. They have come to an end. The world was silent for a cyclic hour because he is in that state now. Although the afflicted nature he has left, maintained anything, her broad, numberless frame, her enormous act, receding, fading out, as if a soulless dream at last has ceased. So the dream has stopped for her. No voice came down from the high silences. But in spite of all that, there is still no response. You see. In spite of that, in spite of all this yogic attainment, no voice came down from the high silence. None answered from her desolate solitudes. That voice from her solitude, none answered. See, in spite of all that thing now, still he is not getting the response. No voice came down from the high silence of the Supreme Mother. Silences, she is quiet. A stillness of cessation, rain, so cessation, stopped everything. The wide immortal hush before the gods were born. So this is the point now. When are the gods born? This is at this moment of time. The gods are born here. A stillness of cessation reign. The wide immortal hush. The gods are born in the immortal hush. The immortal hush is prior to the appearance of gods. The wide immortal hush before the gods were born. It is in that immortal hush the gods were born. A universal force awaited, mute the great transcendent ultimate decree. Who is awaited? The force, universal force. It is not Ashwapati. Universal force is awaiting. Awaiting what? The transcendence decree. What the transcendent is going to say. The force is not going to act herself. The Divine Mother might be there. Yes, she is listening to all these things. She is aware of all this happening, this prayer, etc. She is receiving, but she is not going to respond herself unless she is told, go ahead and now respond. She will carry the will of the pain. Until then she is silent. He has to get the sanction. In the story of Mahabharata, Savitri story in the Mahabharata, Ashwapati approaches the Divine Mother. He is doing the yajna for 18 years, Savitri yajna, invoking her to grant a boon, the boon of a son. In the story, the tapasya is to get a son. Ashwapati was issueless. He wanted to have a son so that the dynastic continuity is maintained according to tradition. Dynastic continuity means the law of dharma, of the righteousness is continued generation after generation. That is the symbolic meaning of that. So he is waiting for a boon from the Divine Mother. She is not responding at all to him for 18 years. He is offering. At last, she appears in the fire altar, in Yajna-kunda, in the flame, she appears there. And she tells him, to Ashwapati, I know why you are performing this yajna. Why you are performing this yajna, I know it. Yes, you want a son, so that the law of righteousness is perpetuated in this creation. It is for that purpose you want a son. I know that, but I am sorry, you are not going to get a son. You will get a daughter. And then she says that, I went to Brahma, the great father of this creation, grandfather of the I went to Pitamaha, great father. I went to him and told, look, this man is doing tapasya and a boon has to be granted to him. And Brahma gives him a chit. Okay, take this chit and give to him that he will get a daughter and not a son. So she comes back and tells to Ashwapati, look, this is the boon which has been granted to you by the Supreme. It is beyond my power to change that. All that I can do is go to him and get the permission or whatever it is from him and bring it back to you with the necessary force of that. So we are going to get a daughter. And she tells him, look, because it is a boon which is granted by the Supreme Himself, don't grudge about it. Don't grudge. In his greater wisdom, he has put it in this manner. The Savitri's birth is for a different kind of a cause, which Ashwapati himself is not aware of. But the Divine knows what she has to do, and therefore he has granted you a boon. You are the fit person to bear her as his daughter, and therefore she has to take birth. Therefore she comes and does and all that kind of a thing, you see. But basically the point here is that she is not going to act herself. she is going to go to the Supreme Lord and get a permission or get a sanction from him and then only pass it on to him. Same thing happened here. A universal force awaited. Mute, weight, transcendence, ultimate decree. Every word is specified. Ultimate decree. That's the last word. In all wisdom, the ultimate will decide. The transcendent will decide. This is the ultimate decree. Accept that. So a stillness of cessation reigned not only in him, everywhere around. Because there is no response, no voice came down, and therefore a stillness. Immortal hush before the gods are born. Great events are going to take place even before the gods are born. It was the hour before the gods awake. In that moment, it was the hour before the gods awake. That immortal hush. It is at that point now Ashwapati is getting the boon. Only when Ashwapati gets that boon will the gods awake. It was the hour before the gods awake. When are the gods going to awake? When the boon is granted. The transcendental gods become operational only in that boon. The gods will awake only when the immortal force, the universal force receives that boon from the Supreme. She is not going to act of her own. It has to come from the Supreme himself. And therefore it was the hour before the gods awake we are talking. Before the gods awake. And this is the hour. This is the moment. The moment the boon is granted, the gods awake. In other words, who are the gods? The transcendental gods. In a way you are speaking, they are new gods. The gods belonging to the supramental creation. They will awake in the appearance of Savitri. They will appear in the appearance of Savitri, you see, when the boon is granted. The transcendental supramental gods, possibly new gods, not the Vedic gods, not the Puranic gods, certainly not even the Vedic gods. New gods will come into action. A universal force awaited, mute, the unveiled transcendental. So that is why that's a long calm. See, he is not responding, he has removed everything whatever required, he is absolutely calm, and now that the force herself is waiting for the sanction from the Supreme. A word, something has to come from above. Brahma has to give a check to Savitri, go and pass it on to her, you see. Therefore, then suddenly, you see, without any expectation, nothing was happening. But suddenly, she has gone there, she has met him, he has given the sanction, and she is coming back. All that thing is unknown to him. When she comes back, therefore for him it looks suddenly. Otherwise it is not suddenly at all. Then suddenly there came a downward look, as if the sea exploring its own depths. Somebody is looking from above and exploring his own depth below. What is there in this lower creation? What is the possibility which can emerge from this lower creation? Somebody is looking from above, as if a sea exploring its own depths. A living, these two lines. Then suddenly there came a downward look. This is not Ashwapati's, of hers, of that force. A downward look, as if a sea exploring its own. what is there, what can I do, down, below, down. Now, there is a problem here again. In the revised edition, the punctuations are different. See what we have here. Then suddenly there came a downward look as if a sea exploring its own depth. So that is the sentence. What we have in the revised edition is a full stop after look.
Settle, settle.
Then suddenly there came a downward look, full stop. And it's a semicolon after depth, there is a comma.
This is relating to the
The second line is getting connected to the other two lines.
Yeah.
In the revised edition, this is one sentence and this is other one independent sentence. Then suddenly there came a downward look. As if a sea exploring its own depths, a living oneness, making oneness which is looking.
Yeah.
The oneness which is looking. And join him to unnumbered multitudes. I would say this is a terrible division. Now, here is the explanation given for their change, why they have revised it. They say, penultimate manuscript, 7119, has, then suddenly there came a downward look, full stop. As if a sea exploring its own depths, comma. That is in Shiva's own last but one manuscript. Last but one manuscript. Final manuscript is same, but without punctuation. He has kept the punctuation hanging at that point in the final manuscript. Neither the comma nor full stop. Revised scribal copy, that suddenly there came a downward look. When this was copied, the final manuscript was copied by Nirodharan. He did not put any punctuation. Obviously, because he copied as it was. When that was read out, then at that part he dictated this punctuation. No punctuation. Shiva dictated. This what we have got here. Means there is no full stop in that revised edition after look. There is no comma but a semicolon after depth. See these two words, depth with a semicolon and look with the full stop. So in the last but one manuscript, look is without any punctuation, depth is without any punctuation. It was copied as it was, and when that was read out to Shivandu dictated a punctuation here because it was punctuationless. So he kept look without full stop. He, so to say, he might say, he has forgotten that he had put a full stop in the previous manuscript of his own. And depth without comma. As if a sea exploring its own depth. It is not certain that this punctuation was put at Sri Aurobindo dictation. Now, this is the most damaging kind of statement. As if in the ledger, in the scribal copy, Nirodharan himself has put this dictation. It is not certain. On what basis can you say such a thing? It is most preposterous statement.
What is it based on?
Most preposterous statement. He says very clear, it is not certain that this punctuation was put at Sri Aurobindo's dictation. If it is not certain, then how can you also reject it? How can you also reject it? It is most preposterous statement, you see. Had I been a little clever, I would not have put that clause at all. No, this is Richard Hart.
If you were the one would say, then okay, you don't know that.
I would have kept myself aloof and keep it hands in music. I would not have exposed myself by making a statement, a silly statement like that, you see. It is not certain on what basis you can say it is not certain or it is certain. No, absolutely no basis to say that.
Anyway, in this paragraph, it looks same. If you put comma or not, it looks same. Because the loop is speaking about the loop of the living oneness.
No, there is no, after look, there is the full stop.
I know, understand. But if you read all this paragraph, you can understand that this suddenly there is a loop.
Yes.
And after we say the living oneness, you can understand that this loop is a loop of the living oneness, no? It's not there.
This loop is now, in this loop is, as we have up here, is of that force, exploring its own depth.
Yeah. Is it also the same of the living oneness?
No. Living oneness is different than the force. If suddenly who is coming?
The loop.
Suddenly who is coming?
But the loop of
No, that force. That oneness is not coming. Oneness is not coming. That force is coming. It is she who is going to appear in front of you now.
But he said a living oneness, widen it and
No, that is now that.
join it with
No, that now, you see. No. You see, these two lines now are a kind of an explanation of this exploration. He is clarifying what that exploration is. That exploration tells him that with the living oneness which has joined everything. See, this confusion, looks so simple, but it changes the whole thing completely. If you put a full stop here, after look, you are disconnecting this line totally. This is out. And then what happens? As you see exploring its own depth, the living oneness widened its scope. It becomes living this.
No, I understand. I mean, even if you put the comma, you can also explain this loop which can suddenly is the one of the living oneness.
Actually, that downward look totally gets disconnected with the existing system. The downward look gets disconnected. After full stop, after look, we had fought a big battle on this one, but ultimately we poor souls. Then suddenly they came, you see on this line and that also. Side the last support of form, beyond sight the last support of form. No. We had argued extensively. You can't go back to the first manuscript when he has attended to the subsequent revisions. Not that look that is no full stop after look in the first manuscript, but Sri Aurobindo is not sticking to that. In the second manuscript of his own, he has kept both the punctuations hanging. There is nothing after look, there is nothing after depth. He was still waiting for other inspiration perhaps. And then when the lines were read out to him, he dictated punctuation, depth, after depth, a semicolon. And these people say that possibly we are not certain that Sri Aurobindo has dictated. Nirodharan has invented this punctuation of his own. Nirodharan is not so clever to see the difference between these two. As you can see, exploring his own time, a living oneness, pardon it is called, and join him to unnumbered multitude. Now, see this is beauty, this oneness and these multitudes. What does he see in the depth, in the profundity of this creation? In the profundity of this creation, what does he see? That after all, in this vast creation, unnumbered multitudes, what is there? It is only he who is present. Wonders for me. It is not that is something different than this. It is only one spirit, one God, whatever you call him. It is he who is present everywhere, whether it is hostile force, or a devil, or a demon, or whatever you call him. It is he after all who is present here. That is the beauty of this whole creation. It is his creation. A living oneness, widened that is called, and join him to unnumbered multitude, and as a result of that oneness, a bliss, a light, a power, a flame white love, bliss, light, power, love, Ananda, Prakasha, Samarthya, Shakti, Prema, caught all in the soul, in man's embrace. So the whole multitude, all the multitudes are now caught in that one single embrace. Of what? Embrace of what? Of bliss, of light, of power, of love. That is the oneness everywhere. Existence found is truth, on oneness is best. But we don't say that this is an illusion, this is a dream, this is a false creation. No, it is there. Existence found is truth on oneness. So oneness is the foundation of everything. Whether it is dark or bright, whether it is inconscient creation or superconscient creation, it is the creation of that one. And each became the self and space of all. So that is the great revelation of oneness. We think that we are different from him, but we are not. We will not be aware of it. That does not mean that we are different. And each became the self and space of all. The great world for harvest of one soul. Now this is my explanation, elaboration of the same thing, of that oneness, Great world harvest of one soul, the Supreme, of being the Master, to feel the flame discovery of God. So everywhere what do you see? Flame, His existence, His power. The great Vardhanam for harvest of one soul, to feel the flame discovery of God. All mind with a single heart of many strings. So you have got one heart only, that one. There are many things. You can play different notes on each one. But those notes are not independent. They are not separate from that one. They are the notes of that one. They are all notes of that one. They are coming from the same harp, the harp of God. Many strings, all like a song of many meeting live. But words are many, but self was one. That is oneness. What a tremendous thing now, see. This knowledge has now made a seed, made a cosmos a seed. So that became the seed now. Was made now a cosmos seed. Made now by whom? Ashrapati. Made by whom? By Ashrapati. This knowledge was now made a cosmos a seed. That everything is one. Wherever you go, the seed was placed in the safety of the light. needed not a shade of ignorance. That is the power of oneness. It needed not a shade of ignorance. It is in this ignorance that we don't recognize that oneness. We don't recognize that oneness. That we are all one. One in the sense that not monotonous one. Each one is a half of his own music. You play one music, you play one music, you play one music. All musics are different, but they are the music of one. This knowledge was now made, he has capitalized now on this knowledge and he is going to do something. This knowledge has now made a cosmos seed. The seed was cased in the safety of the light. So he is holding it on carefully now. In his luminosity, in his power, it needed not a sheet of ignorance. Then, from the trance of the tremendous clasp, or that oneness clasping everything, tremendous clasp, and to the throbbing to the single heart, or that oneness's heart, and the throbbing to the single heart. And for the naked spirituality, so that is the spirituality of oneness everywhere, even in the darkness, even in consciousness spirit. A new and marvelous creation grows, a new and marvelous creation grows. That is what Ashwapati has done. You rise to birth to a new and marvelous creation up there. Just to be there. And how has he made this creation? Because the basis is this oneness. Without realizing the power and potentiality of this oneness, it is not possible to create, to give rise to a new creation. In other words, what Ashwapati has created is a new world in the transcendent, in that oneness. His task is done. Ashwapati's yoga tapasya has now got fulfilled, has now got almost fulfilled in this. The job is done. And now it is her role to bring that new and marvelous creation here upon earth. So the next task for him is to go and approach her and tell, Madam, this is your job, you please come down and do your duty. You see? So you have to approach her now for that purpose. As far as the yogic task is concerned, this is done, finished, the deed is achieved. A new and marvelous creation grows.